What is up, Patriots, and welcome back to O'Connor's Quick Strike. I'm John O'Connor, and it's Wednesday, October 1st. Before we get going, as a heads up, my fiance and I are going on vacation starting on Thursday and through Sunday. So, I am not 100% confident that I will get out Friday's episode in time. So, if you don't see a post, that is why. I may have the time to throw together a quick condensed episode, but really not sure. But I'm still going to try. Also, I am looking for a graphic designer for some one-off assignments. So if you know a Patriot that is solid at graphic design, send me an email at o'connorsrightstand@gmail.com or jump on X and DM me at O'Connor Podcasts. So let's just jump into it. Grab your coffee, buckle up, and let's roll. 3 stories that prove conservatives are back in control. And yes, I intentionally made that rhyme, just trying some things out.
3.
Alright. Story number 1 happened yesterday, September 30th, at Marine Corps Base Quantico. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth recalled generals from around the world for a massive meeting at the Department of War. And he's not pulling any punches. Hegseth addressed these commanders earlier this morning before President Trump spoke to them. And he told them flat out, "We are done with that blank," when talking about DEI initiatives. And wait for it, fat troops. Let me say that again. The Secretary of War just told America's top military brass that we're done with diversity quotas and out-of-shape soldiers. And you know what? It's about damn time. For 4 years under Biden, our military became a social justice experiment. They spent more time on pronouns than on preparedness. More effort went into making sure everyone felt included than making sure everyone could actually do their job. The military became obsessed with equity, diversity, and inclusion instead of lethality, readiness, and winning wars. Hegseth said the Department of War is going to refocus on excellence instead of the woke agenda that infected every level of our armed forces. Remember when that used to be the baseline? Now it's considered revolutionary. Think about what the Biden administration did to our military. They kicked out service members over vaccine mandates. They spent billions on climate change initiatives. They lowered physical fitness requirements so more people could qualify. They made our military academies focus on critical race theory instead of critical thinking. They turned recruitment videos into diversity commercials that look more like corporate HR presentations than calls to defend America. And what did we get for all of that? A military that couldn't meet recruitment goals. A force that potential adversaries stopped taking seriously. Afghanistan happened on their watch, the most humiliating withdrawal in American history. Our enemies got bolder while our military got weaker and more distracted. Hegseth is cleaning house. He gathered these generals to deliver this message in person. The party's over. No more using the military as a laboratory for social experiments. No more lowering standards to hit diversity targets. No more soldiers who can't pass basic fitness tests. We're going back to basics. Building a military that can actually fight and win. Hegseth laid out what he called the Golden Rule test. He asked these generals, would you want your own child serving with fat or unfit troops? In units where people can't meet the basic standards? Where standards were lowered so certain types of troops could make it in? Where leaders were promoted for reasons other than merit and warfighting ability? The answer is obvious. And now every general in that room knows exactly what's expected of them. The left is going to lose their minds over this. They'll call it discriminatory. They'll say it's going backwards. They'll claim it's offensive to have standards. Good. Again, let them be offended. Our military exists to kill people and break things in defense of this nation, not to make progressive activists feel good about themselves. You want diversity in the military? Great. Prove you can meet the standards. You want inclusion? Fantastic. Show you can do the job. But we are done pretending that checking demographic boxes matters more than combat readiness. We're done sacrificing capability for optics. This is leadership. This is what it looks like when people who actually care about national security are in charge instead of people who care about their next appearance on MSNBC. Hegseth gets it. Trump gets it. And now every commander understands the mission.
2.
Now, let's talk about something that probably made every big tech executive's stomach drop. YouTube just cut President Trump a check for $24.5 million as a settlement for suspending his account back in 2021. Remember what happened in 2021? After January 6th? Big tech went on a purge. Twitter banned Trump permanently. Facebook banned him indefinitely. YouTube suspended his account. They all claimed it was about public safety and preventing violence, as well as protecting democracy. But really, it was about silencing the previous president of the United States because they didn't like his politics. These companies appointed themselves the arbiters of acceptable speech. They decided what the president of the United States could and couldn't say. They claimed they were private companies that could do whatever they wanted, right up until those legal bills started piling up and they realized that just maybe they'd gone too far. YouTube clearly realized they were going to lose big in court, so they settled. And the deal breaks down like this. $22 million goes to the Trust for the National Mall to support the construction of the White House State Ballroom. Another $2.5 million goes to other plaintiffs in the case, including the American Conservative Union and several individuals who were also censored. But here's the thing. This isn't just about money. This is vindication. For years, conservatives have been screaming about big tech suppression. We've been documenting the bias, the shadow banning, the demonetization, the account suspensions. And for years, the left and the media told us we were being paranoid. They said private companies can do whatever they want. They claimed that there was no coordinated effort to silence conservative voices. Well, here's YouTube admitting with a $24.5 million check that, actually, they screwed up. They overstepped. And now they're paying for it. This settlement sends a message to every other tech platform out there. You can't just ban political figures you don't like and hide behind terms of service violations. You can't coordinate to silence speech and pretend you're a neutral platform. Actions have consequences, and those consequences come with a hefty price tag. Think about the chilling effect this had on free speech. If they can ban the President of the United States, they can ban anyone. And they did. Thousands of conservative accounts got suspended, demonetized, or shadow banned during that period. Doctors got flagged for questioning COVID policies that later turned out to be wrong. Parents got censored for opposing critical race theory in schools. Anyone who challenged the approved narrative got punished. The excuse was always the same. Misinformation, incitement, community guideline violations. But what it really meant was, you're saying things we don't like, so we're going to silence you. YouTube's settlement proves what we've known all along. They weren't acting in good faith. They weren't protecting anyone. They were exercising political power to influence elections and public discourse. And they got caught. And now they're paying up. But $24 million is just the beginning. This opens the door for everyone else who got deplatformed. Every conservative influencer who lost their livelihood. Every citizen journalist who got banned for reporting news the mainstream media ignored. Every parent who got suspended for standing up at school board meetings. They all have a case now. This isn't the end of the fight against Silicon Valley's control over speech. It's just the beginning. But YouTube writing a $24.5 million check to Donald Trump, that's a hell of a good start. And combined with Meta's $25 million settlement and X's $10 million, we're looking at nearly $60 million in settlements from just these three cases. Big tech thought they were untouchable. They thought they could do whatever they wanted because they controlled the platforms. But Trump fought back, and he won. Story 3 is about your money, specifically $13 billion of your money that almost got wasted on climate boondoggles, but is now coming back to the Treasury instead. Energy Secretary Chris Wright announced that the Department of Energy is returning $13 billion in unobligated wasteful spending that was originally earmarked for Biden's climate agenda. $13 billion. The Biden administration had budgeted $13 billion for projects that Secretary Wright determined would fail to advance the energy needs of the American people, were not economically viable, and would not generate a positive return on investment of taxpayer dollars. Translation? These projects were garbage. They weren't going to work. They were never going to work. But Biden was going to spend your money on them anyway because climate activism matters more to Democrats than actual results. Wright said in the official press release, the American people elected President Trump largely because of the last administration's reckless spending on climate policies that fed inflation and failed to provide any real benefit to the American people. Exactly right. We're tired of watching billions of dollars get flushed down the toilet on renewable fantasies while our electric bills go up and our power grid becomes less reliable. The climate scam has been running for decades now. Politicians promise us that solar and wind will replace fossil fuels. They tell us we just need to invest a little more money. Taxpayer money, of course, never their money, and the technology will finally get there. They subsidize these projects with billions in tax credits and direct spending. And what do we get? We get solar companies that take the money and go bankrupt. We get windmills that kill birds and don't produce power when the wind stops blowing. We get an electric grid that becomes more fragile and expensive because these low-density energy sources can't replace high-density sources like natural gas, coal, and nuclear. Physics is a harsh mistress, folks. You can't subsidize your way around the laws of thermodynamics. Solar and wind are low-density energy sources. They take up huge amounts of space. They are unreliable, and they require massive backup from traditional power plants for when the sun isn't shining or the wind isn't blowing. But the climate crusaders don't care about physics. They care about control. They want to dictate what kind of car you drive, what kind of stove you cook on, and how you heat your home. They dress it up in environmental rhetoric, but it's really about making you dependent on their approved technologies and their centralized systems. Secretary Wright gets it. He understands that America needs secure, reliable, affordable energy. He doesn't care where it comes from. He just wants energy that actually works and doesn't bankrupt consumers in the process. So, instead of throwing $13 billion at projects that everyone with a functioning brain knows will fail, Wright is returning that money to the Treasury. That's $13 billion that won't get wasted. $13 billion that can go towards reducing the deficit or funding something that actually benefits Americans. Larry Behrens from Power of the Future, a nonprofit that supports Americans working in reliable energy, said it perfectly, and I quote, "By returning $13 billion, the Department of Energy under President Trump is showing respect for taxpayers and a willingness to end funding for programs that don't work." Respect for taxpayers? What a concept! Imagine if every federal agency operated on that principle. Imagine if every cabinet secretary asked, "Is this a good use of the American people's money?" before spending it. We've seen too many of these scams already. Solyndra took $500 million and collapsed. Billions more went to electric vehicle battery plants that can't compete with this without subsidies. California's massive solar plants are shutting down after years of failure. And through it all, taxpayers foot the bill while the activists pat themselves on the back for investing in the future. Wright said there's almost certainly more waste to be found, and Diana Roth from the Heritage Foundation agrees. She told the Center Square that The department should comb through its budget and see what projects can be accomplished by the private sector, then end those projects. That's the attitude we need across the entire federal government. Not how much can we spend, but what can we cut? Not what new programs can we create, but what existing programs need to be eliminated. This is what government efficiency looks like. This is what it means to actually care about taxpayers instead of treating them like an unlimited ATM for your pet projects and political payoffs. $13 billion back in the Treasury. That's a win, folks. That's your money not being wasted on fantasies that were never going to work. So, there you have it. 3 stories that show you what winning looks like under the Trump administration. Pete Hegseth telling the military brass, we're done with that blank when it comes to woke policies and lower standards. YouTube cutting Trump a $24.5 million check for deplatforming him. And Chris Wright returning $13 billion in climate waste to the Treasury. This is what competence looks like. This is what happens when people who actually care about America are in charge instead of fanatics who care about their progressive wish list. Well, that's it for today's Quick Strike. I'm John O'Connor. Remember, we drop episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And for the deep dives, catch O'Connor's Right Stand on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hit me up on X at O'Connor Podcasts. And visit o'connorsquickstrike.com or o'connorsrightstand.com. Keep fighting the good fight, Patriots. We'll catch you next time.